Tonight, Hezbollah vows revenge after an apparent attack targeting its militants' pagers. Hundreds of the pagers suddenly and simultaneously explode across Lebanon with deadly results.
I don't know, it's out of James Bond or it's out of science fiction.
How the low-tech devices could have been targeted.
Want to say something? What? You want to say something? Say nothing?
The NDP leader confronts hecklers after being followed and insulted outside Parliament.
You sure it's not you? No, 100%. You're a coward. You're not going to take my face. That's what's up.
The growing tensions as MPs return to the Hill. And Sean Diddy Combs behind bars accused of sex trafficking.
He's going to plead not guilty, obviously. He's going to fight this with all of his energy and all of his might.
How prosecutors say he used his hip-hop empire to run a crime ring.
From CBC News, this is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault.
Thank you for joining us. There are new threats tonight from Hezbollah directed squarely at Israel after a series of deadly and coordinated explosions across Lebanon. The source of those explosions, hundreds of pagers used by members of the militant group, all blowing up at the same time, some in public places. Lebanon says at least 9 people have been killed, more than 2,000 injured. Israel is not commenting, but Hezbollah is not waiting. Instead, it is promising retribution. All of that comes as shocking video is emerging of some of the explosions that rocked Beirut. Cam McIntosh has the new details about how this apparent attack was planned, but begins with some of that frightening video.
Watch the man in the cap. Something explodes through the bag slung over his shoulder. He isn't killed, but writhes on the ground. Similar scene here. Across Lebanon and into Syria, pagers exploding, sending a surge of wounded to hospitals. In a statement read by local media, the Iranian-backed militant group Hezbollah blamed Israel. Israel hasn't commented. It comes after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke of a need to change the status quo in northern Israel. Israel has been fighting with Hezbollah for months along its northern border with Lebanon.
It's out of James Bond or it's out of science fiction.
Cyber warfare expert William Banks calls this an advance in unconventional warfare few besides Israel could pull off.
Didn't have to do a thing except have some smart people in a lab somewhere, make sure they knew how to manipulate software inside a pager.
To avoid being targeted by Israel with GPS in its cell phones, Hezbollah recently said it was switching to pagers. Israel likely got into the supply chain, says this expert.
I would not be surprised if they were tampered with prior to their having been delivered.
Both the Reuters news agency and the New York Times cite unnamed security sources that Israel planted explosives in Taiwanese-made pagers before arriving in Lebanon. Among those reportedly injured, Iran's ambassador to Lebanon, again raising fears of a broader regional conflict, the U.S. urging diplomacy.
I can tell you that the U.S. was not involved in it.
In Lebanon, blood drives for the wounded. On the streets of Tel Aviv, many Israelis praising the apparent attack.
I think all of our enemies should be afraid of what our capability.
Communications are always a strategic target. This attack, a message in itself, that Hezbollah's own technology, at least in this case, could be exploited fatally without firing a shot. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Sasha Petrusik is in Jerusalem for us tonight. So, Sasha, we know Israel is not speaking publicly, but are there internal talks?
Israel had no response to this incident, and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered his cabinet ministers not to make any public statements. Earlier in this conflict, it certainly seemed both sides, Israel and Hezbollah, were trying to avoid escalation. But the tone has certainly changed now, with rocket attacks and airstrikes across the border, more of those, and sharper threats after each attack. Adrian?
What is the sense of where all this is headed?
Well, this attack comes just hours after Israel declared that stopping Hezbollah's rocket attacks on Israel's north is one of its main war goals, right up there with winning the war in Gaza. And right after the pagers started exploding, Netanyahu met with his senior military leaders to try to figure out what they should do if this triggers a wider conflict with Hezbollah, or maybe even a wider conflict in the region, including with Iran. Now, there is a U.S. envoy in Tel Aviv trying to talk Israel out of escalating moves, but leaders here have told him they believe only military action will make northern Israel safe again. Adrian?
All right, Sasha Petrusik in Jerusalem. Now to a heated moment on Parliament Hill. NDP Leader Jagmeet Singh confronted a protester who was following and heckling him. Singh called the man a coward. As Olivia Stefanovich shows us, politicians are no strangers to being heckled, but it's becoming increasingly common and more aggressive.
In this heated political climate, members of Parliament are becoming used to being followed, questioned, and taunted.
Will you vote a non-confidence tonight if it came up? Corrupted bastard. Want to say something? What? Want to say something? I didn't say nothing. Who said that? You got something to say?
But for NDP leader Jagmeet Singh, this particular provocation went too far.
Was it me? Was it you? No. You sure? If it was me, I'd admit it, buddy. Was it you or not? If it was me, I'd admit it. What'd you say then?
Singh got up close, confronting two men after being insulted.
My word, you sure it's not you? No, 100%. You're a coward. You're not going to say it to my face. That's what's up. Say what? If I said something like that to you, I'd admit it.
The incident unfolding right in front of the Parliamentary Protective Service.
It happened here, just steps away from the House of Commons, where around the corner protests are ramping up.
Targeting the Prime Minister and other elected officials on their way to work.
Why are these people allowed to get so close to us?
It's left some MPs shaken.
Somebody's going to get hurt, and I think what happened today was an absolute disgrace that a national leader was left by himself to defend himself.
This isn't the first time Singh has faced aggressive verbal attacks.
Why did you lie about it?
And he's not the only one.
Christia, yes. You doing in Alberta?
The Deputy Prime Minister, part of a growing number of Canadian politicians facing hostility.
Think of all these protesters.
They're right to be there.
Still, most MPs say demonstrations should continue, as long as they remain peaceful.
It's a difficult balance because I want the Parliament to be the people place also.
But it's the people at the center of our politics, increasingly facing confrontations as part of their public life. Olivia Stefanovich, CBC News, Ottawa.
Late tonight, Jagmeet Singh released a statement saying some of the protesters have been spewing hate, writing in part, "I believe everyone should feel safe walking our streets. I believe we need to stand up to bullies and shut down hate. Canadians believe in lifting each other up, not tearing each other down." After another devastating by-election loss, more uncertainty for the Liberals tonight. The Conservatives will get their first chance to topple the government in just 1 week. Catherine Cullen looks at the pressure mounting on the Prime Minister.
For the Bloc Québécois, a win on the island of Montreal is a welcome twist.
It's awesome.
For the Liberals, another painful blow.
What went wrong?
Well, we lost. Actually, I'd probably take it quite personally.
A Liberal stronghold in an area previously represented by a Prime Minister. LaSalle-Verdun and its past iterations have gone red for most of the last half-century.
Obviously, it would have been nicer to be able to win and hold Verdun.
It leaves Justin Trudeau to explain why his party can't hold a seat in his own backyard.
We need people to be more engaged. We need people to understand what's at stake in this upcoming election.
Asked in French if it puts his leadership in question, the Prime Minister says there's work to do, and they'll keep doing it. This comes after another by-election loss in June in a key Toronto riding. Questions now about whether Trudeau's team will stick around and stay united behind him.
Can Justin Trudeau stay on as leader?
The bottom line is when people speak, we need to listen.
Many Liberals are searching for answers.
We need to be humble. You know, every time Canadians express themselves, we have to listen.
We need to do more to address the question of affordability. Groceries are too expensive.
While opponents declare victory.
People are done with the Liberals. They're done with Justin Trudeau.
They're done with the Liberals. They are finished.
Yet the NDP saw mixed results, keeping the Winnipeg riding of Elmwood-Transcona. But despite more than half a dozen visits from Leader Jagmeet Singh, they came in a close third in Montreal.
We have the ability to win within striking range.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
And the Conservatives remain laser-focused on forcing an election.
Isn't it time for Canadians to have a chance to render their verdict right across the country?
And it seems the Conservatives will get a crack at trying to force an election soon. There's an opposition day scheduled for next Tuesday and a vote on Wednesday. And Pierre Poilievre has said he will use the first opportunity to get the other parties to vote non-confidence in the government, which would send Canadians to the polls.
So, Catherine, mathematically, how likely is it that Poilievre will succeed?
Well, it's not terribly likely, Adrian. We'll see what exactly the Conservatives ask MPs to vote on. Is it simply, do you have confidence in the government, or is it about a specific issue, like the carbon tax? Both the Bloc and the NDP have said they will take these votes on a case-by-case basis. Plus, pharmacare isn't law yet, and the NDP likely want to see that happen before Canadians vote.
Aha. All right. Catherine Cullen in Ottawa for us tonight. Thanks, Catherine.
Thank you.
Canada's inflation rate has slowed to its lowest point in more than 3.5 years, reaching the Bank of Canada's 2% target. Nisha Patel now on what's behind the numbers and how they could influence future interest rate cuts.
In the fight against inflation, signs things are easing at gas stations across the country.
Gas today is cheap, diesel is cheap. I don't know why it should be cheaper.
Prices at the pumps last month were down 5% from a year ago. There were also discounts on clothing and footwear. All that helped headline inflation cool to 2% in August, returning to the Bank of Canada's target for the first time since 2021.
So that's great news. And I think it bodes well for the Bank of Canada to continue lowering rates. But I don't think the story is quite over yet.
Mortgage interest costs jumped nearly 19% compared to the same time last year. Rents also continued to climb, up almost 9%. Though the threat of inflation has largely subsided, many Canadians are still feeling crushed by the cost of living.
90% of the money I spend in my day-to-day life is food and rent.
Most people I know are living month to month, even if they have a great job.
This Toronto store owner is seeing consumers cutting back and worries about the damage recent high interest rates have done to the economy.
People aren't spending as much money. They're not going out as much. I think a lot of businesses are struggling.
Weak growth and rising unemployment are a clear concern. The Bank of Canada has lowered interest rates 3 times since June, each time by 25 basis points. It's also opened the door to steeper cuts if necessary.
If the economy is materially weaker than we're expecting, inflation's weaker than we're expecting, it could be appropriate to take a bigger step.
The Bank of Canada will make its next interest rate decision in October. Some economists say taking that bigger step will be 50 basis points, and it's becoming more likely, with forecasts the key interest rate will hit 3.5% by the end of this year. Nisha Patel, CBC News, Toronto.
Health Canada has authorized the use of an updated Moderna COVID vaccine. Moderna says the new version targets variants that are currently in circulation, replacing a formula that was approved 1 year ago. The shot is expected to be available in the fall. Health Canada is also doing an expedited review of new COVID vaccines by Pfizer and Novavax. Well, rapper Sean Diddy Combs has been denied bail tonight as prosecutors detailed troubling new allegations against him. As Magda Gebrselassie tells us, they claim he ran a criminal enterprise that abused, threatened, and coerced women for decades. And a warning, parts of the story are disturbing.
Yeah. What y'all wanna do?
Once a music mogul, Sean Diddy Combs is now behind bars, accused of sex trafficking and running a criminal organization.
He subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse.
Combs, who's also been known to fans as P. Diddy and Puff Daddy, allegedly used his business empire to abuse and threaten women. Prosecutors say he forced victims into sex acts he called, quote, freak-offs.
The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics, such as ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant.
Appearing in court Tuesday after he was taken into custody the night before, his lawyer says Combs is looking forward to clearing his name.
Mr. Combs is a fighter. He's going to fight this to the end. He's innocent.
This criminal case comes after an avalanche of civil cases against Combs. Last fall, former girlfriend and singer Cassie sued him, alleging sexual and physical abuse. Diddy settled that case within a day. But since then, more lawsuits. Federal investigators raided his homes, and this graphic footage from 2016 emerged, showing Diddy kicking, punching, and dragging Cassie down a hotel hallway. He took responsibility for that attack in this video.
I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now.
Combs has pleaded not guilty to these latest charges.
I'm always thinking about the victims and survivors.
This advocate says years after the Me Too movement, there are still lessons to be learned.
The lesson is gender-based violence is an epidemic. It's endemic that we continue to seek to disrupt.
Combs was denied bail. His legal team will be back in court to appeal the decision. Magda Gebre-Selassie, CBC News, Toronto.
Meta is banning Russian state media networks from its social media platforms, alleging they are spreading propaganda. The company says the move is part of its efforts to clamp down on foreign interference. The Kremlin has attacked the ban, calling Meta's actions selective and unacceptable. Meta is also revamping the way Instagram works for teens, promising a safer experience for young users. Lisa Shing now with a look at the changes and why some experts say they fall short.
Lunchtime at this Toronto high school means a chance to scroll.
Are you on Instagram?
Yes, I am.
Me personally, I already have my profile set to private.
But now teens on Instagram will see some big changes.
Introducing Instagram teen accounts. Automatic protections for teens.
Now in Canada, the US, UK, and Australia, and later this year in the European Union, anyone under 18 with a new or existing account will by default have their account set to private. Teens can only receive private messages from people they follow. Sensitive content like videos of fighting or those promoting cosmetic procedures will be limited, and anyone under 16 will need a parent's permission to change their settings.
It's concerning that they think it's okay to pick and choose what teens are allowed to see.
I think they're already aware enough to know what they should and shouldn't do online.
So it won't make a difference, these new rules?
No, they won't.
16-year-olds will probably find a way to go around the system.
Meta, which owns Instagram, says anyone signing up will need to prove their age. The changes come as the company faces lawsuits from several U.S. states and some Ontario school boards. Parents like Carrie Holland welcome any extra help.
We have a rule in place that they're not allowed to have public social media. So having the extra backup of, hey guys, it's not me, it's Meta, I'm down to have an extra good cop, bad cop.
While some say it's a positive step, critics are calling out the company for putting the onus on parents to police their children.
Parents with lower rates of media literacy are going to be the ones whose children continue to be the most vulnerable.
Ottawa has introduced a bill aimed at reducing exposure to harmful online content. The U.S. has done the same, a move many say is long overdue in protecting children and holding big companies accountable. Lisa Shing, CBC News, Toronto.
An accused makes a shocking admission on the stand in a rape case that has shaken people in France. We hear from the victim who has chosen to reveal her identity. There's a call for Health Canada to expand access to a drug used to treat women with breast cancer, but not men.
I'm being denied access to a drug.
And singer Sarah McLachlan gets a stamp in her honor.
This is honestly still one of those pinch me moments.
We're back in 2. Three firefighters were killed as those ferocious wildfires you're seeing here raged across Portugal. They died after their vehicle was trapped in the flames. 7 people have died in the fires. More than 50 others were injured. Dozens of homes have been destroyed. Hot, dry weather has been fueling those flames. Well, there is an outpouring of support tonight for the survivor of a horrific rape case that has transfixed France. The woman agreed to be named and spoke publicly about what she endured. Chris Brown brings us the details, which are disturbing, of how her former husband drugged her and recruited men to rape her. Then today, he admitted it all in court.
To her many supporters, Gisèle Pellicot is the bravest woman in France. Her former husband of 50 years, Dominique, is charged with a multitude of heinous sex crimes that spanned a decade, where he repeatedly drugged her to the point of unconsciousness, raped her, and invited more than 70 other men to rape her. On the witness stand Tuesday, he confessed, "I am a rapist, just like all of the others in this room," he said, referring to those he recruited. He asked for forgiveness, his lawyer Beatrice Savaro said outside of court. "I don't know what Mrs. Pellicot will do with this request." The court heard beginning in 2010, he would drug his wife's meal at dinner and use an online chat room to invite men to their home to rape her while he filmed the abuse. 50 men are on trial with him, ranging in age from 26 to 74, identified from the photos and videos police found on his computer. Unusually with sex assault cases, Gisèle Pellicot waived her right to a private trial, which has been an inspiration to women across France.
Shame doesn't belong to the victim, it belongs to the rapist. And I think she's showing that completely.
This feminist activist says the trial is a damning indictment about rampant misogyny and sexism.
The culprit is the culture, is the general society, patriarchy that teaches men that they are allowed morally to access the body of women and do whatever they want.
Pellicot has said she has no memory of the abuse, but feared she was developing Alzheimer's or a brain tumor after experiencing hair and weight loss and memory blackouts. She said she never imagined her husband was capable of such things. Speaking to cameras outside of the courtroom, she said to other sexual assault victims, "Look around, you are not alone." Chris Brown, CBC News, London.
Some homes slated for demolition are getting a second life in a new location. What's moving there?
Yeah, my heart.
The organization Recycling Homes to help communities in need.
It just seemed unbelievably wasteful that developers were paying money to tear down what looked like perfectly good homes.
Venezuela's president moves up Christmas, while critics say the gift is just fool's gold.
He's trying to distract people from what's going on in the country.
The National breaks down the stories shaping our world. Next. A breast cancer diagnosis is delivered to tens of thousands of Canadians every year, but less than 1% of those are men. Thanks to research, there are rapid advances in new drugs and treatment, but as Jennifer Yoon shows us, many men with breast cancer cannot access it.
On compassionate grounds.
8 years ago, Warren Kotler was told he had 3 to 5 years to live. The diagnosis, stage 4 breast cancer, a rare illness among men.
So there's letrozole, Ibrance.
Thanks to a cocktail of drug treatments and radiation therapy, he's outlived the prognosis.
Stick around long enough, there's new drugs that are going to be coming online, and hopefully those will be of benefit.
A month and a half ago, his oncologist did recommend a new drug, TrueCap, which could hold off the cancer growing for several months. The problem, it's prohibitively expensive. The drug manufacturer could cover the cost on compassionate grounds, but says it can't because Health Canada has only approved the drug for women, not men.
I'm being denied access to a drug that might have a benefit to me.
In the United States and the European Union, the drug has been approved for men and women. Health Canada says too few men were involved in the clinical study to draw conclusions. And for those limited number of men, the drug appeared to stop the cancer from getting worse for about 2 months. The agency is also worried about side effects like diarrhea and rash.
It's definitely an effective option.
Warren's oncologist thinks it could still help.
The disease biology is very similar in men and women. we know that many of our treatments we give are equally effective.
Because the disease is so unusual in men, it could take years to gather the same amount of data as for women, and waiting could mean life or death for some patients.
You just have to go with the data that you have and use some common sense and scientific reasoning. And then
some are calling for more flexibility, even as Health Canada balances risk and benefit.
They don't want to expose anyone to undue toxicity. On the other hand, we're at a point where we want more access to better drugs that will help people, and that's very urgent.
An urgency Warren knows too well.
Life is great. I need to continue. I have a lot to do. I have a big list.
Jennifer Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
Now it's time to dig deeper into the stories shaping our world. A stunt from Venezuela's president after a disputed election win. Christmas in October.
He's trying to distract people from what's going on in the country, which is a massive crackdown on the opposition.
But first, homes in BC slated for demolition are salvaged instead, then sent to new communities.
You know, the need for homes grows so much, you know, not just for First Nations people, but, you know, across Canada.
In a chronic housing crisis, could relocating homes be part of the solution? Lindsay Duncombe explains how it works and why some see this as a way forward.
These neighbors are staying up to watch a spectacle. 4 homes slated for demolition are physically moving to a new community. Part of a plan to create density in this Vancouver suburb without sending perfectly good houses to the landfill. Darlene Haddon is here to say goodbye.
What's moving there?
My heart. I want it to have a good voyage. I want it to have a nice family to live in there, and there's a lot of memories going with it too.
The Haddons lived in this house for 40 years.
And lots of Christmases and lots of celebrations, graduations. It was always a house that had gatherings, big gatherings, especially Christmas Eve. Everyone knows that house for Christmas Eve.
But this neighborhood, like so many across BC's Lower Mainland, is changing. Single-family homes will be replaced with high-rises.
I think the hardest part about moving from this neighborhood was thinking your house was going to get demolished. And when we found out it wasn't going to be, it was a big difference. It made me very content and happy that someone else could share it.
Drive around Vancouver and you'll see block after block of this. Homes sold in a land assembly. Developers pay a premium to buy houses, demolish them, and build condos or townhouses. Governments support higher density housing. BC changed zoning rules to allow more duplexes and triplexes, a way to create much needed housing for a growing population.
So the way that homes are moved is from the floor joists and up.
But something about all that didn't sit right with Glenn Lewis.
I was driving around Vancouver and looking at hundreds and hundreds of homes that had land assembly signs in front of them, or then a week or two later that would have a demolition crew bulldozing these homes. And when I looked at the condition and the quality of these homes, it just seemed unbelievably wasteful that developers were paying money to tear down what looked like perfectly good homes.
When you drove by and saw those land assembly signs, did you have a background in construction?
Nope.
In fact, Lewis's background is in politics and activism.
And so I think really at my core, personally, and at the core of this company, it's about being agents for change and saying we can do development differently, we can do it more responsibly.
4 years ago, Lewis founded Renewal, the company's goal to bid on homes that would otherwise be demolished and move them to places where housing is desperately needed, such as First Nations. And it keeps building material out of the dump. About a third of all waste in Metro Vancouver landfills comes from construction.
Metro Vancouver is one of the demolition capitals of the world right now. The amount of waste, the amount of demolition happening is absolutely incredible, and I would argue sickening when you see what's happening.
So when was this home built?
So this home was built in 2017, so about 8 years ago.
That's right. This house, slated for demolition, is just 8 years old. Renewal is prepping the home to be moved to an Indigenous community more than 100 kilometers away.
That's kind of an impressive sink. It looks modern and fancy to me.
This is the kind of stuff that ends up in our landfills every day.
You would pay hundreds of dollars for that at Home Depot.
That's right.
Moving the homes is a logistical feat. The moves happen overnight when there's no traffic. First, houses are loaded onto trucks, streets are closed, power lines turned off. The goal is getting the home to water, where it can be reloaded onto a barge, then moved by river or ocean to communities along the coast.
What was it like watching this move?
Well, it was really neat. This particular house, they actually drove right underneath the SkyTrain guideway.
Craig Hodge is the city councillor in Coquitlam. He says these 4 homes were saved from demolition. Now they're being stored on a city lot before being moved to new communities.
We're now looking at policies to improve the procedures for moving homes so that it becomes just as easy to move a home as it is to demolish a home.
That means helping with route planning and speeding up permits. He says it won't work for every house, but there's certainly an opportunity.
And what I'd like to see is a requirement that all homes undergo an assessment for moving before they're demolished. Not all homes can be moved, only about 20% can. But if you look at the 3,000 homes that were demolished this year in the Lower Mainland, 20%, that's 600 homes that were candidate for moving.
All of this sounds expensive to me, right? Like finding the crews to move the homes, to build the foundation in the next place. How is this affordable when compared to building new?
It is. I'm surprised by it. It's about 1/4 of the cost.
When you consider materials, labor costs, and distance, Renewal estimates moving a home can cost 20 to 40% less than building a new one.
So there is money to save doing this.
When you see these homes sitting here, what does it make you think of?
I think I see the history of the neighborhood that they came from, but I also see a future where these homes can provide shelter and housing and memories for new families.
I'd like to welcome you all to the Swaya of the Sept people.
This is one of those neighborhoods, a brand new subdivision on the Sept Nation on the Sunshine Coast. Of the 34 homes planned here, 10 are saved from demolition in Vancouver suburbs.
I need to house people yesterday. So with this development that we have in the process now, that's going to help us with that, with those 200 people. And if we were to start from scratch, and start building them, it would have taken us a little longer. This route is a little bit more quicker and a little bit more cost friendly.
Multiple levels of government helped fund the subdivision. The nation is repurposing the homes for their specific needs. The top floor, the green part, is the original house. Crews here are adding a brand new main floor, creating 2 separate homes.
So it was delivered as a ranch-style home.
Yeah.
And what you see now is what has been added.
You're adding the bottom floor, and
that
it'll be
is
2
correct.
units, 3 bedrooms on top, 2 bedrooms downstairs.
Yes. The need for homes grows so much, not just for First Nations people, but, across Canada. It's just something that will continue to grow, and this is one way of kind of slowing that growth down a little bit.
This will be affordable housing. The nation is developing a rent-to-own plan, likely based on income.
So what I picture, what I see, what I hope, is my dream, is you will have that single family upstairs, then downstairs in the 2-bedroom unit will be Grandpa and Granny, so the kids will be running downstairs to go and get spoiled by Grandpa and Granny.
These foundations are being prepared for the next homes from the Lower Mainland, including Darlene Haddon's home.
I think that there's going to be a happy family in this house, and they're going to love it as much as we do, or did.
Once everyone has moved in, an open house is planned. Former owners and new will meet. Fresh memories in homes that have already seen so many.
Wow, that is is wild. All of the homes in Lindsay's story have now been moved to First Nations across BC. Another that was just moved to the Squamish Nation will be used as emergency transitional housing. Well, next, Venezuela's president announces Christmas in October amid protests over a disputed election.
There is palpable fear in Venezuela.
About that's Andrew Chang explains why the gift is just a distraction. Under pressure after a dubious election victory, Venezuela's president offers a shiny new object, Christmas in October. But millions aren't buying it.
The more recent protests, they're still big, but you can see that people are already scared.
They have good reason. That Christmas gift hasn't stopped a violent crackdown. Andrew Chang, host of About That, breaks down what Maduro is up to in a country filled with political and economic turmoil.
I'll admit, the headline sounds absurd. Venezuela's authoritarian dictator, Nicolas Maduro, somewhat arbitrarily declaring October 1st will be the start of national Christmas celebrations. Such is his power that he can unilaterally make December 25th whatever day he wants.
This year, in honor to you, in gratitude to you, I'm going to decree the advancement of Christmas to October 1st. Christmas will start on October 1st for everyone.
But then you realize this isn't just some bizarre display of power.
He's trying to distract people from what's going on in the country, which is a massive crackdown on the opposition.
The country's opposition leader is quoted as describing Maduro's reign as a campaign of terror. This is the darker side of Christmas in Venezuela. Some of the lyrics there. If you've done wrong, you'd better hide. It's a propaganda video posted here on X by an independent news organization, but widely reported as having been circulated by the country's military counterintelligence agency, rounding up dissidents as part of what the government calls Operación Tun Tun, or Operation Knock Knock. And this is, itself, another reference to Christmas twisted. Tun Tun is a Christmas carol in Venezuela that goes back decades, but it's been adapted many times over. Even kids would know the song. Nickelodeon posted this just a few years ago as part of a series of Christmas songs. But in 2024, Tun Tun is often meant to evoke the sound of armed government agents dressed in all black, knocking on your door at night to arrest you. Maduro himself has used it at his rallies, almost as a taunt, a threat against his enemies, as you can hear in this clip from CNN less than a month ago.
El 5 de agosto, Maduro, tum tum.
It has come to represent widespread surveillance, fear, uncertainty. It is what one human rights group calls the deadliest crackdown on dissent in years, with at least 24 people killed and more than 2,400 thrown in jail just in the last month. So let me explain what the sudden arrival of Christmas in Venezuela looks like. Christmas is a big holiday in Venezuela. Most people there are Catholic. The Christmas season lasts for weeks, but this year it also follows an intensely controversial election covered by just about every major news organization on the planet.
Nicolas Maduro has been re-elected for a third term.
Despite opposition claims, it has proof he actually lost by a wide margin.
Most world leaders have held back from recognizing the results.
The election was seen globally with a lot of skepticism. We did a whole explainer about this, how Maduro was far behind in major polls leading up to the big vote. On election night, the opposition declared they had won by a big margin, but the state apparatus backed Maduro up. He had 51% of the vote, just enough to win.
We have serious concerns that the result announced does not reflect the will or the votes of the Venezuelan people.
Despite international outcry, Maduro would claim his third consecutive term. The people protested. And Maduro ordered police to silence those protests with tear gas, rubber bullets, and handcuffs.
The protests right after the election, in the immediate days after the election, were massive. They were just massive. Blocks and blocks and blocks of Caracas filled with people. And in the more recent protests, they're still big, but you can see that people are already scared.
Building prisons to hold all of those protesters is big business in Venezuela. The government has an extensive roadmap for expanding the prison network because prisons are already overcrowded, more than 200% above capacity. And thousands more people have reportedly been jailed since July's election. Just days after that result and the protests that followed, Maduro announced the creation of 2 new maximum security prisons. He's since brandished them like sticks at anyone who would dare challenge his authority.
Tenemos 2,000 presos capturados y de ahí van para Tocorón y para Tocuyito. Máximo castigo. Justicia.
The repression is really hardball tactics. It's not just police lines throwing tear gas to push protesters away. It's murder, it's injury, it's abduction, it's forced disappearance. It's all of the worst crimes.
Human Rights Watch accuses Venezuelan authorities of committing widespread human rights violations against protesters, bystanders, opposition leaders, and critics. They list killings, arbitrary detention and prosecution, and harassment of critics as having become increasingly commonplace.
The latest confirmed number of arrests is from this organization called Foro Penal. It's a legal assistance. They actually provide free legal assistance to people who are detained by the regime. And as of August 26th, they had confirmed 1,780 people had been arrested or detained as part of the protests.
And it's not just ordinary citizens being punished. It's Maduro's political opponents, too. Just in the last couple of days, the man who ran against Maduro, there's now a warrant out for his arrest. Edmundo Gonzalez, accused of crimes associated with terrorism.
There is palpable fear in Venezuela. Ultimately, this is a regime that rests not on electoral legitimacy. It is not there because it can win votes. It clearly cannot. It is there because it possesses control over the means of coercion.
Christmas in Venezuela has indeed come early, but what you get depends on who you are. Political repression and economic collapse has pushed millions of Venezuelans, more than a quarter of the country, to flee in just the last decade. Many of those who aren't in jail worry about crumbling infrastructure.
Esto es un caos aquí en Caracas cuando no hay electricidad, porque la movilidad, el trabajo, todo se pierde, se retrasa.
Or they wonder how their meager minimum wage of just a few dollars a month will put enough food on their tables.
The problem of people and students who haven't been able to attend schools, who are suffering malnutrition, who are suffering stunting because of malnutrition, who are still in Venezuela, who will take a long time for them. Some will never fully recover.
Maduro, in welcoming Christmas early, promised peace, happiness, and security. But Adrian, for whom? That's the question.
Thank you, Andrew. Next, Canada Post recognizes singer Sarah McLachlan.
It's amazingly cool.
Indeed it is, the newest stamp in our moment. There's that stunning voice. Award-winning singer Sarah McLachlan has certainly left her mark on Canadian music, and now she has a stamp to show for it. Canada Post unveiled the commemorative stamp at a ceremony held at the Sarah McLachlan School of Music in Vancouver. Tonight, Sarah's new stamp makes our moment.
I am a deeply proud Canadian, and I'm so honored to be featured on a national stamp and to be in such amazing company with the incredible women and so many other remarkable Canadians. This is honestly still one of those pinch me moments. It's amazingly cool, and I wish my dad was here to see this. I love to think that someone could put my face, my stamp on a letter, and it could end up anywhere in the world and brighten someone's day. Music has saved me for all of my life.
I don't want to talk.
I'm so incredibly grateful to have been able to continue to provide the gift of music to so many children and youth who otherwise might not have the opportunity.
Someone dear.
What she's talking about there and that music you just heard, it's all from the Sarah McLachlan School of Music, which she helped found more than 22 years ago. Congratulations to you. From all of us at The National, thank you for being with us. You can watch anywhere, anytime on the free CBC News app and subscribe to The National's YouTube channel. I'm Adrienne Arsenault.